Hey guys, welcome back to Python. In this video, we're going to introduce how to use Jupyter Notebooks, which is, for those of you that took the R classes, kind of akin to RStudio, but more Python based. Very popular in the Python community, while RStudio is obviously very popular in the R community. And what's funny is that each of them can do the other, right? So Jupyter Notebooks, you can do R scripts in, and RStudio, you can do Python scripts in. But for, if you're going to work with part of a team or at a specific place using Python, you might get looked at funny if you're using RStudio for Python. So we'll teach you both. And so for this course, we're going to use Jupyter Notebooks. So let's just dive right in and look at it. All right. So we're doing, it'll be Jupyter Notebooks 2, this lab. I'm going to start it up. And so this looks very similar to how it loaded for RStudio. I think I said that in the previous videos. So this is kind of the symbol for Jupyter Notebooks here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that. And you could also see that there was R there as well. And so what we're going to do, actually first thing we're going to do, let's get out of this. Let's launch a terminal. So you can see you can have a new notebook and a terminal up here. But we want to clone some data to work with. So if we do pwd, remember that prints your working directory, and I'm in student, which is good. And so we want to do mkdir home student desk. Desk top classroom my files notebooks cannot create file exists. Okay, all right, so I already created it, so that's why it's there. So now what I'm gonna do is, if I hit up twice, it's going to take me back to my previous command, and I'm going to change from make directory to cd. So I'm going to do change to this directory instead of make it. Okay, so now I'm in this one. Now if I do ls, you can see I actually already have the Fortune 500 data that we're going to download, but you need to download it. So what you're going to type is wget https://s3 dot Amazon Amazon Web Services.com /dq log files Fortune 500, oops, not 400, 500 dot CSV. There you go. And so now you should ls, and you see that now I have two of them in there. But you just need one of them, obviously. So what I could do is I could do rm Fortune 500 CS.1, and now look, and it's being removed. Okay, so I'm going to close out the terminal now. I don't need that anymore. So let's see. Where do we start? So first things first is we can go up here. Oops. I need to close this up. Bring this over to the edge of the screen so I can see. All right. So if we hit save, it should. Let's see. We'll do save notebook as. For some reason the save icon doesn't work. And so we'll call this what do they call it? Let's do, for now, we'll say first And should always use underscores for your notebooks. You can't use spaces in them. So yeah, use that. Use underscores because it won't like spaces. Let me check one thing real quick here. Okay. So it's common to start your Python notebook with a cell or a code chunk, as RStudio would call it, specifically for imports and setup. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do percent matplotlib inline import pandas as PD, import matplotlib.pyplot as plt or plot, import seaborn as sns.set style equals dark grid. Okay. So now I can run this. What do I do on here? Seaborn as set. Let's try. I'm mad that I put that. Okay, there we go. Put that on a different line. I didn't like it right next to each other like that. Okay, so we are good there. So this is kind of like for what we're doing is we're importing these pre-made packages, right? That are kind of like libraries. So if you've taken, again, I'm going to be referring back to the R class because I posted like 100 R videos but some of you who have not seen the R videos, I'll try to explain it as well. So these are libraries or codes that give us options to do without having to write them. So they're very similar to libraries or packages in R. So like matplotlib is like a plotting function, kind of like ggplot in R. And so we're calling all the things we need for this analysis at the very top, which is kind of standard practice for any computer language that you do. Let's see. So pandas is a data analysis package. Matplotlib plots charts, and then Seaborn is a package to make our charts prettier. Another one is NumPy that is used like all the time. But we're not going to use it because we're going to use pandas instead. So the first line here, this isn't a Python command, but it uses something called line magic to instruct Jupyter to capture matplotlib plots and render them in the cells throughout. So it's kind of calling an external factor in to plot our plots for us in the terminal here. Okay, so now let's load our data. df equals, oh, and this has to change. Let me get what this is. Since we're doing it in, if you're doing this in I'm going to show you how to do this not in Praxis and how to do it in Praxis. So this is how to do it in Praxis. So your data frame equals PD read CSV, which is pandas read CSV. That's what the PD at the beginning stands for. And then home, students, desktop, classroom, my files, notebooks, Fortune 500 CSV. All right, so if we hit run on this, we should be good to go. And if we do head and run this, not head, we don't want that. Let's see. You're gonna notice, like I said, I've made 100 videos of Python or of R for my classes, my YouTube channel. As I switch my brain and I'm trying to force it back into Python mode, because I've been heavily in R mode, I'm gonna make syntax mistakes, and this is part of the hard thing. This is the hardest thing about learning both R and Python. They're very, very similar. The thing that trips everybody up and trips you up is there's nuances that are different, and remembering which is which, like switching back and forth, can be a little difficult. So my first example here, I just called head df, which in R would give me the first 10 lines of this data frame. But that's not how you do it in Python, although it's like ingrained in my skull still. In Python, we would do df, so data frame dot head, like that. So similar command, it's just set up a little different, right? There we go. So we get this nice table that shows us our Fortune 500 companies, the year, 1955, the rank, yada, yada, yada. So, and now, let me get my stuff back in order here. Get this back so I can see my notes again. All right. So, yeah, as you can see, and I wanted to show those of you that are not using Praxis. So if you're not using Praxis, you can run df equals pd.read CSV, and as long as you're in your working directory that you saved to the file to, like we did at the very top here, or in the terminal before, this is the command that you would run. But for Praxis, because we're on a virtual machine, we have to have a lot more specific address. So, okay. Now, I'll move these down. It's kind of cool. You can kind of drag the chunks around, unlike RStudio. So we're also going to do df.tail, and then we're going to run that. And so we get the last, so we can kind of see our range of years, right? So we start at 1955, where we had General Motors, Exxon, US Steel, S-Mark. Some of these probably don't even exist anymore, or were bought by somebody. And then you can see that we kind of end in 2005. All right. So, it's the kind of best practices to kind of save regularly, right? So you don't lose your work. So what you can do is you can hit Control S, and you can see down here it says saving complete. And so that's kind of a nice way to, as you go through, continue to save your work. So let's see. So by default, Jupyter will also save your notebook every 2 minutes without alternating your code. So that's nice. So if you come back, you can also go do this file, revert notebook to checkpoint. So it'll revert it to the last. So let's say I type this stuff, and if I go file, revert notebook to checkpoint, it'll go to the last time you saved it. So that's nice. Okay, so we did head and tail. We can do this also. We can do df, whoops, I'm in caps lock, df.columns equals let's change, we're going to change the name of the columns. So we're going to say it's year. So this is very similar to R, where you need to put quotations around year, rank, company. Don't do that. Revenue and profit. So we're going to get rid of like the in millions. We're going to make them lowercase. Okay, so now if we do df.head, and gotta get my typing fingers back. I'm pretty typo prone right now. So you can see we changed the things here, right? The headers. So now if we do length of data frame, we can see how many rows. So there's 25,500 rows, which is great. So that's 500 rows for every year between 1955 to 2005, right? So it's Fortune 500, top 500 companies in the US, and the years 1955 to 2005. So we can also look at our data frame and do types, which is the types. So we have year is an integer, rank is an integer, company is an object, revenue is a float. So that means it's an object with a decimal point. Profit is an object, interestingly, and this whole thing is considered an object. So we'd expect the profits to be float, right? Just like revenue, but it says an object. So what that means is that there's non-integer values somewhere in this row that's causing this problem. So we're going to run non-numeric profits equals df profit str.string contains, and we're going to say inclusive of 0 through 9 minus, and then we're going to do df lope non-numeric profits, and then I'm going to say dot head. All right, let's see what this does. So you can see what this does. So we say our non-numeric profits is profits that do not contain 0 through 9, anything but 0 through 9. And so when we say now look at the values that are not, that have profits that are not containing, or at least the head, so the first 5, that have profits that don't contain numbers. We can also look, let's do this, set df.profit non-numeric profits, and oops, so this will list the set, or all of the non-numeric profits in our profit column of our data frame. Okay, so if you run this, it says that all we have is NA, so there's not other values that are in there. So it's not a lot, like NA and INC for like incomplete or something like that. It's just NAs. And so now, if we want to count how many we have, we can do length, or len, of our df.profit column, and of all the non-numeric profits. So let me go back and relate this again real quick here. So we have non-numeric profits is our new data frame or list that we're creating, right? And we're saying that to take the DF data frame, take the profit column, and look for strings that contain anything that is not 0 through 9 and a decimal point. Okay. So then when we come down here, we say, what's the set in this DF profit column that is these non-numeric values? And it says, okay, all we found are NAs. So then you say, okay, now we're saying what's the length, or how many of these non-numeric entries exist in the profit column. So let's run that. Oh, profit subits. How do I do that? Okay. Let's try it again. There's 369 that are in there. So it's about 1.5% of our entries. So we should check that if they're uniformly distributed, then the easiest thing to do would be to remove them. If they're really concentrated at certain years, it might be more of a problem for our analyses. So let's do bin sizes underscore comma underscore equals plt hist df year non-numeric profits. Oops. And then we want to write bins equals range 1955 through 2006. Okay. So if we read this, we say we want to plot our bin sizes, and we're going to plot a histogram using our data frame year as our x-axis, and we're going to plot non-numeric profits as our count value of the histogram. So if you run this, you get this histogram, beautiful histogram. You can see it's kind of normally distributed. We'll accept that and keep moving on. We're actually going to stop there. 23 minutes. So make sure you save, or Control S, saving complete down here at the bottom. You can see. Okay, so that is our very first intro to Jupyter Notebooks. We're going to keep moving on, but I want to make sure these lectures are 20-ish minutes. So check out the next video. It'll be up after this one. And if you're watching this and learning Python with us on YouTube, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I enjoy putting these videos out. I get a lot of awesome feedback from people. So send me a comment if you enjoyed it, or if you have stuff you'd like to explore. That's probably more so once you have basics. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Let's keep learning Python, and I'll catch you at the next one.